1. When designing a training curriculum for new waste management employees, which principle of adult learning should be prioritized to ensure knowledge retention? A. Memorization of regulatory codes word for word. B. Linking content to real-world workplace experiences. C. Using only written manuals for instruction. D. Minimizing opportunities for peer discussion. 2. In evaluating the effectiveness of a waste handling safety module, which evaluation method best captures both short-term learning and long-term behavioral change? A. End-of-class multiple-choice quiz. B. Anonymous satisfaction survey. C. Pre-test, post-test with follow-up workplace observation. D. Instructor self-reflection journal. 3. During mentorship in waste collection operations, a senior operator notices a trainee struggling with hazardous material identification. Which mentoring technique is most effective? A. Correcting mistakes publicly during team briefings. B. Providing constructive feedback in real time with visual cues. C. Avoiding feedback to prevent discouragement. D. Asking the trainee to review the manual independently. 4. Which of the following is a key requirement under regulatory compliance training for waste transport staff? A. Memorization of corporate mission statements. B. Demonstrating correct documentation and manifest handling. C. Focusing solely on vehicle maintenance procedures. D. Ignoring spill reporting unless requested. 5. An instructor in a landfill safety course applies curriculum development principles by sequencing lessons from general to specific. This is an example of A. Scaffolding. B. Abstract learning. C. Memorization sequencing. D. Reverse engineering. 6. In adult learning, why is it important to incorporate case studies about waste-related incidents? A. Adults prefer abstract theoretical frameworks. B. Case studies allow learners to apply problem-solving to realistic contexts. C. They reduce the need for regulatory compliance reviews. D. They replace the need for formal assessment. 7. A key role of the Waste Management Industry Training and Advisory Board is to A. Develop global marketing campaigns for recycling. Ensure standardized training aligns with industry regulations. C. Eliminate on-the-job training requirements. D. Provide funding for non-environmental projects. 8. When evaluating trainee performance during hazardous waste handling drills, the most reliable method is A. Peer feedback without instructor review. B. Direct observation using structured checklists. C. Self-reported learner journals only. D. A single, written test on safety procedures. 9. A training session on emergency response includes interactive simulations. This approach best supports A. Passive knowledge absorption. B. Kinesthetic learning styles and skill practice. C. Reducing learner engagement. D. Avoiding real-world application. 10. If a training program fails to meet regulatory compliance standards, the most immediate consequence is A. Reduced learner satisfaction. B. Potential fines or legal action against the company. C. More engaging classes. D. A stronger curriculum framework. 11. During mentoring, modeling correct waste segregation practices is an example of A. Cognitive scaffolding. B. Demonstration and role modeling. C. Lecture-based instruction. D. Peer grading. 12. A well-structured training assessment for recycling plant workers should primarily A. Measure memory recall only. B. Focus on task-based competencies and compliance. C. Avoid real-life performance indicators. D. Depend solely on group projects. 13. What is the primary purpose of formative evaluation in waste management training? A. To measure long-term compliance trends. B. To identify learning gaps during the training process. C. To determine fines for non-compliance. D. To replace regulatory audits. 14. When updating the curriculum for hazardous waste transport, what factor must always be included? A. Current federal, state, and local regulatory changes. B. Outdated disposal practices for historical context. C. Company traditions over compliance standards. D. Exclusive reliance on instructor preferences. 15. An instructor uses open-ended questions to encourage critical thinking during a solid waste management session. This practice supports A. Passive memorization. B. Learner engagement and reflective practice. C. Compliance avoidance. D. Instructor dominance. 16. Which communication strategy is most effective in delivering complex waste legislation updates to adult learners? A. Using technical jargon without explanation. B. Presenting simplified language with real-world case examples. C. Requiring learners to memorize the legislation text. D. Relying only on PowerPoint slides. 17. Mentors in the waste management industry can increase trainee confidence by A. Providing opportunities for hands-on application with guidance. E. Criticizing mistakes without offering solutions. C. Avoiding feedback to encourage independence. D. Using a sink or swim training model. 18. Which evaluation tool best measures compliance knowledge retention after a waste handling refresher course? A. Oral quiz administered during lunch breaks. B. Online compliance certification test with scenario-based items. C. Informal group discussion with no assessment. D. Instructor memory of class performance. 19. A training program designed by the Advisory Board integrates OSHA, EPA, and DOT regulations into its curriculum. This demonstrates A. Regulatory alignment and comprehensive compliance training. B. Redundancy in curriculum development. C. Focus only on company policy. D. Neglect of learner needs. 20. A post-training workplace observation shows improved adherence to spill reporting protocols. This outcome best demonstrates A. Summative evaluation effectiveness. B. Lack of instructional relevance. C. Training inefficiency. D. Instructor bias. 21. When providing feedback on recycling sorting tasks, the mentor's goal should be to A. Reinforce correct behaviors and correct mistakes constructively. B. Focus exclusively on negative behaviors. C. Ignore learner performance to promote independence. D. Deliver generic praise with no specifics. 22. What is a key characteristic of adult learners in waste industry training programs? A. Preference for passive lectures. B. Need to see immediate relevance of training to their job. C. Desire to avoid problem-solving activities. D. Reliance solely on instructor approval. 23. A waste management training program includes visual aids, site visits, and hands-on activities. This supports A. Multimodal learning styles and knowledge application. B. Redundancy in training. C. Reduced learner motivation. E. Avoidance of regulatory issues. 24. To ensure regulatory compliance during curriculum design, trainers must A. Include updated laws and standards in training modules. B. Focus only on internal company rules. C. Ignore government requirements to simplify materials. D. Prioritize entertainment value over accuracy. 25. Which mentoring approach best supports a trainee struggling with emergency waste spill procedures? A. Explaining procedures verbally once and leaving the trainee unsupervised. B. Step-by-step demonstration followed by guided practice. C. Assigning only written manuals. D. Ignoring errors to reduce stress. 26. A waste management instructor uses real accident reports in training. This practice enhances A. Learner connection to real-world risks and prevention strategies. B. Memorization only. C. Compliance avoidance. D. Irrelevant storytelling. 27. Which evaluation method ensures fairness and reliability in assessing landfill machinery operation skills? A. Structured performance rubrics. B. Instructor's informal opinion. C. Peer popularity votes. D. Written essay assignment. 28. During a training session, the facilitator encourages learners to share personal waste handling experiences. This technique supports A. Adult learning by valuing prior knowledge. E. Avoidance of discussion. C. Memorization drills. D. Regulatory noncompliance. 29. An advisory board-approved mentoring program emphasizes continuous feedback. This approach ensures A. Ongoing skill development and regulatory compliance. B. Limited communication between mentor and trainee. C. Passive observation only. D. One-time evaluation without follow-up. 30. Which aspect of curriculum development ensures alignment with advisory board standards? A. Needs assessment and stakeholder input before finalizing modules. B. Relying solely on instructor preference. C. Ignoring learner performance data. D. Designing materials without regulatory review.